Hello, everyone. We're back. It's crazy to think about. It's been a year since we've been back, but it's time for the after show where we're going to recap everything Subversion Live Season 3. I'm CLC, and I've got two amazing guests to break down the first episode and get all their opinions on the one mission, the twists, and who could be the mole. And I couldn't think of two better guests to try and make those guesses as to who could be the mole than two people who have done it themselves. Before we get to them, if you've not watched the first episode, head over to the YouTube. Watch the episode first because we're going to be talking about the episode, so it won't make a ton of sense unless you've watched it. And then additionally, in the YouTube link, we have a link to our Discord, which we engage in discussions there as well. So join us there as well. Alrighty, let me bring on the guests. If you've watched Season 1 and Season 2, you should be very familiar with these two. Bringing the mole from Subversion Live Season 1 and joining us from live on site from the Michigan Mole All Stars, it's Daddy Matt.
Hey.
And then your successor from Subversion Live Season 2, the Mole, from was in Las Vegas but residing in San Diego right now. It's Sarah. Move myself down.
Hello, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Alrighty.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, when Lee said that y'all were going to be the guests, I was like, "Oh, this is high caliber TV," and I'm so excited to see who y'all think. Again, you have the least amount of knowledge in the sense of you only get to see one mission, so realistically, you don't have a ton to work on. But I'm really intrigued to see if you can sniff out anything, because I mean, y'all been in this position of doing the very first mission and like, do I do too much? Do I do too little? Kind of what do I want to do? So I'm very intrigued to see if you can pick up on what our mole decided to do in this very first mission. But before we hop in, do you have any general thoughts on the cast? Anyone you've got your eyes on from the cast reveal? Anyone that you know that you really want to talk about really quickly before we hop into the episode specifically?
I didn't know anyone before. I don't know if you knew anyone, Matt.
I knew a few people. Taylor I had met in person because we live in the same city. Jabbar had worked with tangentially a little bit on some other games, but a lot of new faces and big personalities. Like I feel like every season steps it up. Like the originals, like I don't know, like any shows like cute, it like establishes things, and then your season, Sarah, just like everyone amped it up with the personalities. And this, man, I think anyone could be the mole.
Yeah. I feel like Ben is a standout in terms of personality. Like he's always doing his like impressions and stuff like that. Like, but I'm almost kind of like, is he like the decoy, like kind of like the Carson of my season? That's my initial thought with him. But he definitely, like, I think in his pregame interview was talking a lot about like just being chaotic. I think also Cooper was talking about like wanting to be like the villain, and like he's like, if the mole doesn't get everything, like what's, or something like that, he was like, there's no point if like I'm not gonna win, something. So yeah, there's a lot of people like wanting to be the villain, I feel like.
I agree, which could really like just blow things up for the group as a whole. And if you're the villain, you get to the end and you like win $1, like
right.
Yeah, I do want to say, I mean, I do think that this is the lowest pot in Subversion Live history. I do think that it is lower than both Season 1 and Season 2. I could be wrong. It's all about the same. Like, y'all, I think y'all always do a great job of making sure the players have enough incentive to still care. Like, if the pot's at 0, no one gives a crap. Everyone's miserable. So you always do a good job of like giving some, but then taking some. So I think even this mole as well, like you always balance in like the $800, $900 range anyway. So it's in that range as well. But I do think it's the lowest of the three, but it's roughly in that range. So, but yeah, I think the villains, regardless if they're the mole or not, definitely come out, and the pot is affected in many ways. So I look forward to more instances. I mean, you kind of see a little bit at the end of the first mission where everyone's like, Ben, really? Already we're doing this? So I look forward to it. So let's hop in. So we start off the season. So this season is themed around the butterfly effect, where actions that you take currently in the present will affect some outcomes in the future. And there are kind of three big ways that those are happening. The first one is the future quiz. This is the first time. This is the first thing that they do. So they hop in and they get told they're taking a quiz out the gates. It's the first thing they do on site is take a quiz about missions that are happening in the future. So they got asked questions like, what team will the mole be on? How many questions will the mole get, or how many questions will the mole get correct in this mission? Things that haven't happened yet. But these are all things that they can influence. So ideally, if they say, and I think Emily really lays this out perfectly, if I say the mole is going to be on Group A in this mission, and I think the mole is, let's say, Cooper, I need to get Cooper to be on Team A. So if he is the mole, I get that question correct. So they're basically choosing what their future looks like, and then they have to enact, ideally, get them all to do what they want, because those questions will impact their quizzes. They have 2 questions each of the first 7 quizzes that were future-based questions. So they do make up 10% of their overall quiz score. So there is some incentive to influence the future. What are your thoughts on the quiz, the twist, what maybe you might have done?
I have some kind of strong feelings about. I think it depends if you're the player or if you're a player or the mole. If I'm a player, I'm thinking the first few rounds, it's not going to affect me too much because there's some luck. There's some like kind of trying to get the majority in some of your answers, but hating everyone. I think it's going to really be a big part of my strategy in that mid game where I start kind of narrowing maybe things down, or later on where then I'm going to try to put like my top 3 suspects in the same group or be in the same group as them. And that those can, there's like just a second level of wants and needs that are playing into the game, which is interesting. Yeah. How about you, Sarah? What do you think?
So the players had to like remember the questions, right? Like they had to remember. So I feel like if I was a player, I definitely would have picked like the same group, like for each question, if it was like group A or group 1, like the first one. So I remember which one that I picked in the future. So I know to like put the mole in like whatever the first group is. There was a couple players who I think were just like, oh, I put like 4 for everything, or like I was just going on speed. Does speed really matter for this one? Like I didn't understand how the speed came into play for this one.
So yeah, we did. So Foser built a new website for our quizzes this season, and it tracks. I mean, the old website did as well. But this website we can take offline. So we do a lot of the quizzes outdoors this season, which are away from the house, which have less Wi-Fi. So we wanted a one that we could bring offline, but it tracks how long you take on each question. So for the questions that are applicable to the upcoming quiz, we took your time per those questions. So speed did matter. Realistically, it never actually, like when there were ties, the time you took on those questions didn't end up making a difference in the end.
Right.
We had some ties, but usually the fast quiz takers are normally the fast quiz takers, and the slower quiz takers are just the slower quiz takers. So while speed was still important, it ultimately didn't have any major ramifications.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I would have spent a little more time trying to like remember what I put versus speed for that one, just because I feel like that'd be more helpful in the future. Yeah.
A lot of people sped through, and like it was, and we knew it was a lot to memorize. So in the confessional spaces, when there was time to do their confessionals, we'd always have a line that says, "Hey, this is one of your pre-game quiz questions. Did you try and influence the future?" And most of them are like, "Well, shit, no." So I don't remember what I clicked. And I'm like, "Well, damn it, we tried to." We put it in all the, I mean, they didn't know that, but like when they took their first confessional and they got told, "Hey, this was one of the quiz questions. Did you try and do something about it?" And they're like, "Well, shit, no," because I don't remember what I picked. I'm like, well. Sucks to be you, but we definitely tried to remind them, like, hey, that was a prior game quiz question. So we did try and prompt them to remember, but I think a lot of them were just click, screw it, play, roll the dice, whatever. But some, I think, really took it not like seriously, but like took it to heart and was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to influence what I want. And others were like, up to fate. Which is always fun. I love when people take different approaches. And it adds to the mystery of maybe like for the people who didn't study what they clicked, they might not know why they're staying. They might get a green screen and go, well, I don't know what those 2 questions I clicked and what they applied to now, versus the people who took it more seriously can know, hey, those questions applied to these people, so I can at least factor that into how well I did on my quiz or not. So,
well, I'll give it to you guys. I mean, that would throw me for a loop if the first thing we're taking a quiz about future actions and like I can understand people speaking through because you're like, like if you know them all really well, you're like speed is a factor, so maybe I just have to go through this. But it sounds like on this one is like this is one to like slow down on, which is like counterintuitive to the mole.
It's very intuitive.
I guess it's the mole because it doesn't really matter what the mole puts, right? Like on this quiz. So I feel like the only thing they could really do to leverage this is to like find out what people put, and if there's someone that you want to get out, like try to get into a group that like they didn't put. But I feel like I don't know if people would share that information like openly like that.
This cast was a lot more cutthroat. Like this cast really came to play, and I think really took the, because we always do a roundtable. We did a roundtable for season 2, and we did a roundtable for season 3. Like, hey, things to think about, get your head in the game, and some advice from past players being like, hey, here are the things I wish I would have known or I wish I didn't do on site and mistakes I made. And season 3, I think, really took the roundtable to heart. Very cutthroat, weren't sharing as much. So I do think a lot of what people clicked did not make its way into the ether, but it definitely was also an attempt for our mole to be like, hey, if you have a strong decoy that you're trying to keep in the game, figure out what they clicked and try and keep them in the game to keep the decoys in longer. But ultimately, I don't think it ended up panning out too much because most people kept that hush hush, or in most cases, didn't even know what they clicked. So there was nothing to share. But yeah, super fun twists that I look forward to seeing how people narrate it, and to see the moments when the quiz question comes up, when they can influence, and to see the people that do. I'm really intrigued to see how that gets portrayed, but that's the future. But let's hop into the mission. The mission is Mesa. So it's a glorified scavenger hunt. 51 items spread across 4 teams. For each item that they find uniquely, they win $2. For every photo that they take that's wrong for whatever reason, they lose $1. So if I can't see the item in it, or the entire team that's supposed to be taking the photo isn't in the photo, it doesn't count and it loses $1. And then if there's ever items that are duplicated, so multiple teams take a photo of it, then they lose $2. They communicate and make sure, hey, I've already taken this photo, don't take one. Right. Which we end up having a duplicate in the newspaper. The twist is that they're working across 4 different teams, and each team is given a portion of the scavenger hunt that they must memorize. So we just give it to you once, have fun. So they all have to communicate whatnot. But then the additional twist is that of the 51 items, 36 of them were chosen by production. Things that we knew would be out there. Statues, murals, logos, flags, things that I'm like, we know that they're there. I've confirmed that they're there. And the other 15 items were selected on the future quiz. So the future quiz was 20 questions, but not all those questions were quiz questions that would apply to your execution. Some of those questions impact the missions in the future, that just impact how things are going to happen. So I think in round 2, there's a quiz question that defines what team you're going to be on already. Like, you don't even get a choice. Based on how you answered a certain quiz question, you're already assigned to a team. But in this case, they were asked, hey, what would be easier to find? An item that begins with the first letter of your first name or the last letter of your last name. And whatever you clicked became a scavenger hunt item. So the mole could obviously opt for an item that is harder to find based off of the letters, or maybe the mole said, nope, too early to do anything crazy. I'm going to pick something that makes more sense. But that's the additional twist, is like everyone had a say in how easy or hard the scavenger hunt would be. So we're going to hop in team by team and just walk through all that they did. I want to get your thoughts on if anything popped out to you. But we'll start with team 1, which was the team that had the most time. So they were in Mesa longer than anyone and had the most time to get everything done that they wanted to. So that team was Ben, Ian, Sterling, and Stephanie Fagan. Ben has the iPad. Again, the team selected who they wanted to have it. So Ben's the iPad, so he's the one in charge of taking the photos and ensuring that the item's in frame, that the other 3 people on his team are in frame. He's also allowed to delete any photos prior to challenge ending. So once the challenge ends, I just take the iPad and I go through all your photos. And then Ian has the walkie-talkie, so Ian's the one who's communicating to the other teams. Obviously, everyone can hear, but he's the only one allowed to use it. And then the selections from the prior game quiz. So we had Alex, who chose the letter S, so he chose his last name. He did not choose the letter A. Don't know if that, S versus A, I think those are both. Ian chose G instead of I. Okay. Julia chose E instead of J. And Cooper, which is probably the worst one of the four, chose K instead of C.
Yeah. So I feel like, like as the mole, like obviously like being on the iPad or the walkie-talkie is like the most obvious way you can sabotage. But it's like in the first one, I just don't know, like, is the mole really aggressive this season or do they want to blend in more? Like that's the tough part. I actually kind of like, for me, Cooper stood out to me a little bit just because he made some comment where he was like, oh, wait, like, I totally didn't realize it was like the last letter of my last name. And it's so something that I would have done where just kind of like playing dumb and like pretending like I like didn't realize what was happening or like the rules were a little different than I thought. And like, it was like a subtle way of being like, if someone brought it up, it's like, oh, I didn't realize. Like he was almost like trying to prepare for that. So Cooper kind of stood out to me in terms of that choice because of the way he like presented it. Like, oh, totally didn't realize. He seems smarter than that. Like I feel like he would have read that correctly.
He and a lot of people are downplaying how intelligent I think they are. And there were two groups that stood out to me that were really suspicious, and this group with the most had some suspicious behavior to me. Ben, I'm sure he's very intelligent, but I just kept thinking they gave the surfing caveman the technology. Like I think it came from his like intro where he's like banging on a car or whatever. He seems charming, very emotionally intelligent, but like he gives this goofball vibe. So if he is the mole, that's like an aggressive mole, like taking this and that. Something he did do that was kind of more player-like when they were trying to get like a picture of two birds. He's like, oh, I can get it. He like was like thinking about perspective. Thought that was good. Ian, I would have a hard time believing that he's the mole. He was very like forward, getting these pictures, willing to ask people, having ideas. And then Sterling, I remember in her interview, she said she was like the life of the party without even saying anything. And so I feel like I can see her trying to take some of the limelight of the group, but I don't know. I did have a question about Sterling though. There was one picture that was taken, but it said no photo submitted.
Yeah. And deleted it, which is a player activity. Because the item was Sterling with an item that begins, I think she chose S, if I remember correctly. Yeah, she chose S. But again, every item has to be what's on the scavenger hunt list, plus all the members of your team that are taking the photo. So he was right to delete it because Sterling was by herself. The rest of the members of the team are taking the photo. Okay. I don't know if he deleted it because he knew that, or if he deleted it because he wanted to be a little shit. Because obviously, shit with the just taking random photos. But that was a good decision to delete it because it would have lost money.
Gotcha.
Unsure as to his motivation. As of right now, if I do know his motivation, I'm not going to say it. But I don't know his motivation for deleting that photo. But it would have lost money because it did not have the other members of the team in the photo.
Got it.
But yeah, they could delete at any point as long as it was before the mission ended. And that was the choice. If like, hey, I took a bad photo, delete. Let me take a better one. Or, oh, you got that item already? Oh, so did we. I'll delete mine. So the iPad player had a lot of responsibility and a lot of power. So it was crucial. Yeah, you're right.
Because like who else? Oh, go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just to say Stephanie seemed pretty kind of middle of the pack with like helping, but not stealing too much. But what were you gonna say, Sarah?
Wait, are there two Stephanies? I thought there's only one, right?
There's Stephanie, which is I don't say the older, but the older.
Oh, okay.
And then just Steph, who is the younger one.
Okay. Yes, I didn't notice anything specifically with Stephanie that stood out to me that would make me suspicious of her right off the bat.
Mhm.
I think Ben would definitely be on my radar just because he's such a big personality. And like if he was the mole, just to play such a big game, I actually think that could work for him because people might be like, he's just like trying to throw people onto him anyway. So I think he's the type of person and personality that could play a really big out there mole game. So I think that would be interesting to see if it was Ben.
For sure. I mean, the double bluff is a very
Yeah.
powerful. You both used it very well, where you both did things that were very out in front and open, and people wrote you off for it, being like, "Oh no, the mole wouldn't do that." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, because you're thinking that, the mole would absolutely do that." It's a very powerful tool.
Yeah, I think that was all I had for that group.
Yeah, trying to think anything else. Yeah, Sterling and Stephanie, I think, appeared to be helpful. Again, the mole so easily can, because the mole was given the map of the city. They knew where the statues and the murals were, so they absolutely could be very silently directing them in a different direction, away from the items that they need. So the mole doesn't have to do anything outwardly here if they don't.
Right.
But yeah, on paper, Stephanie and Sterling looked kind of helpful. Ben obviously was a little shit deleting a photo, which was good, but then taking 10 extra photos for no reason that cost the group $10. I'll save the newspaper duplicate when we get to Team 4 because that was a very interesting situation. And then Ian was not very great with the walkie. Ian, I think Julia gets really mad at him because he keeps just saying, "Hey, I found this. Hey, I found this. Hey, I found that." And Julia's like, "Are you saying for someone to take it, or are you just saying you found it?" And those are two very different things. And that was really pissing off Julia. She's like, "No one needs this. Why are you bringing it up? No one needs this thing." So I think Ian was maybe not the best on the walkie. Ben was not the best with the iPad. So this team. Overall, I mean, they got 9 things correct. They had 10 eligible photos, one of which was a duplicate. So they got 9 correct. That was $18, but then they lost $10 because of Ben. So they won 8, and then they share in the minus $2 for the duplicate. So overall, not a terrible attempt. But let's head over to the majority teams. This is Team 2. They have the second most amount of time, so they head in second. This is Taylor, Alex, Michaela, and Jabbar. Michaela has the iPad, Alex has the walkie, and the selections from the pregame quiz. So Emily chose E instead of H. Ben chose B instead of I. Jabbar, who had no good choice, chose Y instead of J. And Colby chose R instead of C. I think all 4 of those make fine sense to me. Anything you noted from this group?
For me,
go
ahead.
Go. You go, Matt. You go.
Okay. Polite. This was the other suspicious group for me. Lots of, especially at the beginning, Michaela's confessional. She's like, "I picked the iPad because I own an iPad," and I was like, "I don't know about that." Like, I think a lot of people own it, so I was like, But then she did have some behavior that I was like, okay, maybe you really are trying. Like she suggests like they keep renaming the things so we can keep them in our head. That was good. She did ask a question like, she was like, "They don't have to be in our photo, right?" And then like Taylor like answered to that, and I was like, I can see the a mole trying to ask those weird questions. But as it went on, I started thinking maybe she is for the group. Now, I'm kind of obsessed with her anyway. It's kind of like I was obsessed with Sarah on her season. I didn't know she was a mole. I'm like, she's awesome. So if she's the mole, that's awesome. Just yay! But she just strikes me as an amazing person. What do you think about Michaela, Sarah?
I love her. So I actually met her at Shilpa's party, so I kind of know her now. I think she's a queen. She's an icon. I do also agree with you. I feel like she was helping too much to be the mole, where I feel like she was like the one in charge, but she wasn't like she was like I don't think any of her pictures were considered.
There was one that was ineligible. I think it's because I couldn't see the item fully in frame, but overall, like nothing terrible photo wise. They got 9 correct and only 1 wrong, so they won $17.
Yeah, I just feel like I see her as I don't know, as somebody who's like gonna be the leader of like the faithful, so to say. Like she doesn't really give off suspicious energy. I don't really have anything to point to exactly, but I do remember her like Matt was saying, like, let's repeat the stuff. All that stuff is like kind of helping people who aren't the mole. I also do want to point out that I feel like if I were the mole, I'd want to be in one of the first two groups to have the most time to do something to sabotage or to like lead the group astray, because the first group technically has the most time to like, you know, do their task. So like they technically should be getting like all the ones. So I feel like I would want to be in one of the first two groups. But yeah, Michaela, I would say she's not really, I would put maybe a few questions on her after this first episode.
Yeah. Also in that group, he might punch me in the face. Jabbar, I was saying the absent-minded professor, because he's a professor, right? The math professor.
He used to be. He now is a full-time student, but he was. Okay. Yeah, he was one.
Okay. So I get that he's a smart guy, like trying to do it, but like I feel like what's coming out of his mouth is wrong, and I'm not sure if that's on purpose or an accident. Just like all this stuff is coming out of his mouth. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah.
Do you remember something he said specifically? I'm trying to remember.
What have I done? Oh, he like keeps giving. I said it keeps giving bad info, like about like what they're supposed to do or what. He just like keeps adding a lot. What did I? Oh, he's asking if they should like change directions later on. Like, hey, we're going this way. Should we do this? I felt like he was, and maybe you know better than I do, CLC, but I felt like he was giving suggestions and they were.
He said a lot of things that are wrong. He's the one that perpetuated the idea that said, "Hey, we just need the item. We like if it's Sterling with an item with S, we just need the item with S." And Michaela was like, and I think Alex started it. I think Alex was like, "I think it has to be with the person. Like the person has to be in the photo." And Jabbar's like, "No, I don't think that." And that created some confusion early on. So they didn't even start looking for any of those items because they waited for another group to come in and be like, "Hey, is it someone with, or is it just an item that starts with blank?" So I think Jabbar started that. Jabbar also was, so part of the mission, again, we don't go through all the details in the episode. Teams are allowed to switch items. So like if we say, hey, we need this item and a different group sees it, they can take the photo as long as it meets all the criteria. It has all the people in the photo, it has the item, it's all fine. So they're allowed to communicate and switch items. Jabbar kind of convinced their own group not to do that. So that he thought that because they took a picture with Ben, or no, they had someone took a different picture with Ben, or they swapped people. It doesn't matter. I forget what it was in the episode, but a different group did someone else's item, and he was like, "Oh, well, that's going to lose money." So he kind of had convinced his own team that we can't do any other items. When I have the write-up that we handed to them, it says in underline, you're allowed to, any team's allowed to do any items just as long as it fits the criteria that we've established. So yeah, Jabbar was definitely saying a lot of things that were just not true. Just wrong. Which was fun to watch because I was in Cooper, Colby, and Julia's team. That was the team I was chaperoning. So like it was fun to see all these other groups that I didn't live.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were all wrong. And then Alex, you don't see the walkie-talkie being used very much, and he's owned up to it in the Discord himself. And if you want to read that to be mole behavior or not mole behavior, that's up to y'all. But he very much turned down the volume of the walkie. He tuned out the other groups and was like, "Fuck it. We're done with y'all," turned it off. So you don't see much of the walkie-talkie usage from Alex. He very much just disabled it and said, "Nope, we're going to do our own thing. And we're going to stick to our items." Period.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm done with that strategy. You're like, hey, I'm just going to focus on what my 4 has to do. Like, I don't need this extra noise. Like, let's just get our part done.
Yeah, the walkie is hard to use. Like it does get distracting. I feel like if you're constantly trying to like figure out if they're hearing you, you know, like, and if all 4 of the teams are talking at the same time, that would get, so I kind of get that. With Jabbar too, like, I feel like sometimes the rules can be kind of confusing. I will say as the mole, the rules are like the easiest thing to use as like, oh, I just didn't realize, or like, I forgot that was a thing. So that does put some sus on him for me, just because it's not like outward sabotage, I feel like. It's almost just like I didn't realize. Similar to Cooper being like, oh, I didn't know it was the last letter. That's the kind of behavior for me that like clocks to me more.
Yeah, and eating up time is always like helpful. So yeah, if Jabbar's making them like wait to start looking for things until they meet with another team, that's a good way to eat up time.
Yeah,
absolutely. Let's head to team 3. So this is the team that has the some amount of time. So the third team to enter into Mesa. This is Sammy, Steph, so the younger Steph, Emily, and Liz. Steph has the iPad. Emily has the walkie. And our selections from the pregame quiz. So Liz chose L instead of N, as in Nancy. Sterling chose S instead of O. Taylor chose E instead of T. And Steph chose S instead of H. Overall, I think fine choices. I think E and T is kind of hard. L and N, they're both kind of the same. So I mean, overall, I think decent choices.
Yeah, I agree. Nothing suspicious there. There was one thing that I noticed with Steph, who overall I didn't think was the mole, but then there was one scene where I think she was like waiting for the screen to change and she was like being kind of slow. Like, why did we need that? Because there was the Mesa on the side. So I actually wasn't sure why she needed the screen to be a certain still.
So this is the ineligible photo that they take. So they were looking for the word marquee and they took a picture of a marquee. And so she was waiting to see the marquee come up on the screen, but we were looking for the word marquee. So she was wasting this time being like, oh, it needs to be perfect. And the photo was incorrect anyway. So time wasted for negative money because they misremembered the list.
Right. Yeah, that was the one thing that was suspicious to me about Steph. I think besides that, nothing else really clocked to me with her, right, Matt?
Yeah, I think she just is a type of play that I think is very socially or emotionally ruled. I feel like connections and the vibe she's getting off of people are really going to steer her in whatever direction she goes. So I think she was maybe feeling her way through this mission. That's the vibe I got. I don't know. I think if I was a player and had to pick a group to be in, I would want to be like the fifth member of this group would be the Spice Girls. Like they were like on it. They had like Emily was out there like leading them. I think this group of superior ladies, I want to see them go to the end together. I don't know.
Yeah.
They seem all very smart and with it and motivated. And I don't know. In my, I guess, fan fiction, all right, that they like band together, share information, and make it to the finals together. And maybe one of them
yeah, this was definitely the most organized team. I felt like they had a plan. Everyone was kind of doing their part. I mean, there were times where people were suggesting some wrong things. Obviously, the marquee of it all. I mean, Sammy tried to suggest that the sombrero was a cowboy hat, but that's nor here nor there. But overall, I felt like this team decently remembered their list. Kind of knew, like they made very strong decisions, regardless if they went in the right directions or the wrong directions. They very much were committed to, okay, we've done this, head over here, let's go over here. Like they very much were in line, and I appreciate that. I mean, overall, they won $15. They had 8 eligible photos, and then they had 1 wrong photo, which was the marquee. So $15. I mean, slightly less than the last team, which was 17. But again, they had less time, so maybe that factors into it. But overall, I mean, I think a solid attempt. But again, obviously, the mole doesn't have to do a whole ton if they don't want to. So maybe the mole is amongst this team, kind of taking a chill on the first challenge and kind of letting fate take the course. Or maybe the mole is Steph or Sammy trying to do something suspicious. But
I think in that group, if there was going to be a mole, is Liz, and she could be a very dangerous. Like when they were talking about the different flags, and she's like, "Well, I know the difference between the 2 flags." Which one? I was like, "Okay, that's like if I'm the mole and I had that player on my team, I'm like, oh man, they're really smart, and like I gotta watch out for them." But if she's the mole and she's like offering that information up already, like I'm really helpful, like she could totally be off my radar and I'd be going home. So
I see what you're saying. I feel like if I was the mole, I'd be scared of this group because I feel like they're like the smart ones. Like that would like I was kind of scared of Sam in my season because I knew she was like on to me. And I feel like these people would like be on to me the most. They just seem like somebody said like Steph is like really sharp or something and like noticing things. Yeah.
She's very good at the like social cues. Like she's very much a social brain person. Like the body language, she picks up on those small little details. Like that's her power for sure.
So I feel like I would be the most scared to sabotage in front of this group because I think they would notice.
But thank you for bringing up the flag thing, because I know someone in the YouTube comments was suspicious of Liz, being like, why the fuck do you know what the Phoenix flag looks like and what the Arizona flag looks like? Like, are you the mole who knew that the Arizona flag would be a scavenger hunt item, and so you Googled it? Like, what a weird thing to Google, because they're not from Arizona, they're from Connecticut. So have no reason to know what the Arizona flag looks like, but someone did bring that up, being like, why do you know that?
Right, like are you just trying to appear helpful?
Exactly. Yeah. Alrighty, let's get to the fourth team. My team, the team that I chaperone, just because it's the last team. I was going to go with the last team no matter what. This is Colby, Cooper, and Julia. So they have the least amount of time. So as soon as they get led into Mesa, the time begins to end the mission. They get like 25 minutes once this team goes in. Julia has the iPad. Cooper has the walkie. And the selections from the pregame quiz are Stephanie chose S instead of N as in Nancy. Michaela chose S instead of M as in Mary. And then Sammy chose S instead of R. Overall, I think fine choices.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the final group?
How many did they get right again? Like how many?
They ended up getting 8 correct for $16, but they were part of the duplicate issue. So they won 16. But they were part of the negative $2 because of the newspaper. But they got 8 correct.
Right.
Which is about equivalent to pretty much all the other teams, and they had the least amount of time. So overall, like, pretty impressive.
Julia, the word that sticks in my head is very strong-willed. Like, she's like, we're going to do this. This is stupid. We're not doing that. We're going to go this direction. So that could be really great player side, like getting things done, like cutting the bullshit of the mole. Like, we're not going to do that. But then also that can work against the group if you have like 2 strong players and she's wanting this way and the group's wanting this way. And then the mole like can have an easier time if there's already like tension in the group. But I felt like she and Cooper worked really well together eventually. Like they were like, yeah, I'll go take a picture with a random kid. And me, I'm like, I don't know if we can do that. But they're like, I don't care. We're doing it. We're crossing the street. I don't care if we're jaywalking. So I'm like, okay, they're invested.
Yeah.
Now, if Colby's the mole, he would send me home. He is so under the radar for me.
Yeah. I don't know if maybe we're just editing out some stuff, but like, I would not suspect him at all.
No, he, like, because I was with this group, he would walk off.
Yeah.
And I'd hear Cooper and Julia talking, because, like, I'm just listening to make sure they don't do anything. They don't break any, like, rules here in Mesa. Don't be breaking any rules. And then I'm just like, where the fuck is Colby? And then he would just go off on his own and come back being, hey, I didn't see anything. So, like, he very much is not in the edit, but that's because he's just not with the camera crew. Yeah, he was walking away.
Wait, were the other 2 suspicious of him because of that?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, that's the thing, is I think Colby did a great job of appearing hopeful, where he's like, hey, I went and looked over here, I didn't see anything. Obviously, could be an easy mole sabotage, be like, hey, there's something. Nothing over here. Let's go that way.
All right.
I think Colby always did a good job of explaining what he did when he left. So he wasn't just like off doing nothing and then coming back with no info.
Okay.
It was a little weird where it's just like all the time, where the hell is Colby? Why does he keep walking away? Because he has to be in the photos.
Right.
Him and Cooper have to be in all the photos that Julia's taking. So like realistically, he can't go too far, because then if Cooper or Julia's to find something, they have to wait for him. So could be an easy way to waste some time.
Yeah, because I remember on my season, this one challenge, Tay like kind of ran away and did her own thing, and then everyone was so suspicious of her after.
Mother. I can say, like, probably that season she did that, and I got back to the van. I was like, oh gosh, now we all know Tay's the mole. Like, why did she do that? And then she ran away. I was like, what?
Please, that's an icon. Things that happen I want to highlight. I think Julia does a great job of appearing helpful, but she did these small little things that just like in the edit, it's like, ooh, did anyone clock that? Like immediately when they're reciting the list, she's like, oh, who chose M again? And Cooper's like, no one chose M. It was all S's. Trying to get us to think that there was an M in the mix here to take a wrong item. But also Julia's item is herself with an item that begins with E. They initially take a picture with a board that says espresso. She then instead finds an elephant, so she deletes the espresso and they take a new photo of the elephant. But time wasted there because she wanted a different photo to represent her item. So like wasted time when it's like you already have a good photo. Why are you wasting time taking a new one, getting into frame, deleting the other one? Just seemed like a lot of wasted time. And then my favorite shot of the whole episode is them just walking past the flagpole that has the flag of Arizona, heading up to it that all three of them missed.
Because I feel like, because like as the mole, it's kind of like, I feel like the easiest way is like, oh, you see something, you don't bring it up, or like you know something, it's more like the omission. Exactly. Which again, I don't know if it was just like I was like on to Cooper after he said the last, but I was like really watching him. Yeah. And it might be like confirmation bias. Like I would totally fall for that as a player. But like he was like, oh, like I can't think of anything that starts with K. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's like you could have thought of something if you really tried. And then like when they walk past the motel, he does this thing where like he doesn't point out things, but if somebody else points it out, he's like enthusiastic about it. He's like, oh my God, oh yeah. It's like you're not like as the mole, you're usually not the one like pointing out stuff, but then when someone does, you act like really excited about it, which he was doing. He's my number one suspect right now.
Ooh. I can tell, girl. You're
I'm like really on. I like can't even like think. I'm like latched onto this. I would totally go home first. Like,
it's my favorite part of watch. Like when you watch any mole programs, I do the same thing. I'm like, if I was on the program, I would not be going all in or like being heavy on someone. I'd be spreading early. But I'm like, there's always like one time someone does something. I'm like, I'm on you, and then it's always fun just being like, you still here? And then if they go home, I'm like, well, that didn't go well. Or if they end up being the mole, it's like, ha, I knew it. So I do the same thing watching. I'm like, there's always one thing that someone does. I just harp on it as a viewer, even though if I was there, I would not be doing that. But the last thing I want to talk about is the newspaper of it all, because it is the only duplicate we deal with. So Ian, they find a statue with the newspaper, which was my intention for the photo of a newspaper. I obviously assumed that there'd be newspapers in the street, but I was like, there's a statue with a newspaper. That's your guarantee that you can get this photo done. So Ian finds it. And again, instead of just being like, hey, we found the newspaper, don't worry about it, we'll take the photo, because again, any team can do it. He's like, oh yeah, it's on this cross section. And they're like, just take the photo. We don't care what just take the photo. We don't care about the cross sections. So they take the photo, but Ian is the one that kind of sets the tone for, I don't know if this is going to be accepted because it's not a real newspaper. Which again, he couldn't have known because I don't think he was in the group, but there was one, I think Jabbar's group had a picture of a bear. It's not a real bear. It's a statue of a bear. Like not all of these things are literal.
You're not going to find an actual bear on the street.
But he institutes the idea, it might not be counted, so you should get back to us if you find a newspaper yourselves, which Julia's team does. They take a photo of a newspaper, and you clearly hear Cooper say, delete your photo. That photo doesn't get deleted from Ben. So Ben does not delete the photo, but also why we even engaged in taking a different photo of a newspaper. It should have just been, hey, we took the photo, we're done here. But Julia, Cooper, and Colby still seek out another newspaper. So that leads to -$2 there. That is kind of the end of this mission. Any final thoughts? I know we've really kind of walked through everyone and what they've done, but any final things you wanted to bring up before we get to the final thing Lee has to say, and then we'll get your Mullen winner picks right now?
I have two things.
Yeah.
And one is really has me now tripping, second guessing myself. I feel like we did not talk about Taylor at all.
True.
And now I'm scared because he's one of my main mole suspects. and he did the most mole-like behavior this mission, I thought. And now you're scaring me, Carl, because we didn't talk about him all. So I don't know if you're like trying to avoid talking about him.
Wait, what was the mole like suspicions that you had on him?
Yeah,
what did he do?
I have a list. Okay. So in the big his like interview at the beginning, right? He's like, I'm gonna like cause chaos, like drain the pot, whatever.
Yeah.
He had this big energy. And when they're naming the 3
live, laugh, love.
words, yes,
yeah,
like that's so like mole to be like, oh, let's just make a joke out of this, guys. Whatever. And he's talking about taking control. When he gets in this group, he doesn't have the walkie-talkie. He doesn't have the iPad. He's just kind of going along with it. People will say things, and he's just like making unhelpful comments. I hear him saying like, "Oh, I don't know," like a lot. Oh, or there was something. Oh, when they were talking about do the players have to be in the photo? And I was like, I think they have to be. And Taylor's like, oh, is that the case? He keeps asking questions and saying he doesn't know. And I know. So I can't tell. And I got the vibe that he was kind of over it, like walking around and stuff. And so I can't, to me, I was reading it as possible mole, like letting other people do it. I'm in this group where I can kind of blend in and let them kind of mess up. So I'm just going to kind of like head back, even though I want control. I'm just going to kind of give it up and not help.
Which could be good for the first challenge to like not do anything like crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't bring him up because he blends in. He blends in completely. I agree. Like obviously generally unhelpful compared to someone like Michaela. But obviously, again, like we've talked about, the mole can be unhelpful very subtly in this challenge by saying, I don't know, or leading people in the wrong direction. So yeah, I didn't have much to say about Taylor. Not to say that, like, I mean, same thing for Taylor or Sterling or Stephanie or Sammy or Liz. Like any of the people who kind of blended into the team could have been subtly leading their team in the wrong direction or trying to get them to take a bad photo, and then they end up not taking the bad photo. But yeah, Taylor just kind of blended into that group, but yeah, he was generally very unhelpful.
Okay, I had to get that off my
chest. I didn't have anything to add because I'm like, nothing really stood out negatively or positively. He was just generally mid.
Okay.
Mid. Okay. And again, I wasn't part of that group either, so I don't have any like insider tea on that group. Unfortunately, I was with Julia's group.
I'm not going to try to meta all this. Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about, if we have time, and finding 4 envelopes.
Oh yeah.
There will
that
be more.
Didn't come up at all. Like what did he discover from those envelopes? That's what I want to know.
There will be more to uncover, but yes, very early in the morning he woke up and found some envelopes. So we kicked off the day at 9 a.m. With, hey, here are the dossiers, here are your journals. We had some people come in super late on Thursday night that needed to do their meet me's and their other cast photos because their flights got delayed, whatever the case. So we're like, hey, we're starting at 11:30 noon. At 9, we'll give you your notebook so y'all can start taking down info. He spends his entire time on these envelopes because he woke up at like 7 or 8 and found them. So you kind of see it. He has like some decoders that he's trying to spell out a message that then says XYZ. It's very escape room like puzzles that he's solving that he's hoping leads to either an advantage or a clue to them all. There will be more on this later, but
that kind of makes me think it's not him. Because he's like going so like trying to get these clues, like finding things.
Yeah, this dude is highly motivated, right? He's waking up into early. He's finding all the I can't cuss.
I was like sleeping in. Yeah.
Like, he's like ready to go. But and even on the missions, he was like, "Get this person off the street. I need your sunglasses. Take a picture with us."
Yeah.
So we'll see how that plays out.
What would you have done, Matt, as the mole in this challenge?
Oh, it just depends what type of mole you're going to be. Like, I think the type of mole I am, the emotional one. I'm like eating up time. I'm like acting like a worry wart. Like, guys, I really think we do this. I like over flooding with information. So who I forget who it was early on in the group was like spitting out all that information. Like, guys, this is here, this is here, this is here. You're eating up walkie-talkie time. Yeah. What about you, Sarah?
I think I would have. Well, did you you didn't know the challenges ahead of time, right? Like you went in blind, or did you know?
He knew some, but didn't know like a ton.
Okay, because I wanted to know like everything, so I definitely would have like memorized where things were, like led us astray. I think that would have been really easy. Like, oh, like let's go this way. Like I feel good about this. I would have definitely misdirected where we were going. I would have been like, I gotta use the bathroom, guys. Like take a little bathroom break, because like that's just normal. Like definitely eating time. I think I don't know if I would have been on iPad or walkie-talkie. I almost feel like that might be too obvious if I mess up on there. Yeah. I probably would have done walkie-talkie over iPad. And maybe gone the route of like, oh, this is too distracting. Let's just like not even communicate with them, or I would act like I was saying stuff, but I wasn't actually like putting the message through, like through the channel.
Oh, you know what I would do on one mission is like hold down the button so no one else can talk.
Yeah. The walkie-talkie is kind of easy to manipulate.
Oh, they're dangerous.
Mm-hmm. And then I would have picked. Would it have been crazy if I picked the first letter of my last name? Oh, wait, you can't do that, right?
Really go for the jugular. Just really go. We're gonna find something.
No, I would have done what I would have been like, I didn't realize it was the first, or I don't know. That would have been crazy though.
That would have been hysterical. That's because I mean, it's the beauty of being the mole is the double bluff, playing into the role. Like it's just such a fun little mind game you get to play with these players, and trying to like do the opposite of what they think the mole would do is always super fun. So that's the thing. Like and if the players are looking for outwardly in front moles, if they're looking for more subtle moles, like all those fun little like things really make this job so difficult. And I mean, y'all lived through it. It's a very difficult role to try and balance all that, and then also pretend like you're playing this game. So very, very difficult. But let's wrap up the episode. So the last thing we drop is the third element of the butterfly effect. So the first one was the future quiz that will affect their executions. The second one was, hey, on the future quiz, you took some questions that will affect future missions, just in terms of what teams you're on or things you have to do in the missions, and those will continue. That happens every quiz. They have 1 to 2 questions that then affect the future and affect the future mission. So that will continue. And the third and final thing that affects the game is this no tie versus tie mechanic. So typically at an execution, we reveal if there's a tie or no tie on the quiz, which is super valuable information. If you take a big risk and you zero some people out and you get told it's not a tie, you can rule those people out, assuming you did your quiz math right. A tie is maybe not so helpful information, because then it could mean anything. But overall, that information is very helpful. We're willing to give it to the players, but at a cost. No one can play any advantages that round. If y'all want that information, then everyone has to be on the same playing field. If everyone wants to get the information, then everyone has no advantages on the quiz. And that's something that they have to wrestle with in terms of, do I want to, do I not want to? Because the clear or the white exemption this season and the +1s can be held on to. They don't have to play them. So they can opt to choose to not play an advantage, to try and get this information for the betterment of the team and therefore kind of you. But I'm not sure if like y'all would play around with this twist at all, or like Colby was like, I'm going to play whatever I earn. Like, I don't care. Like, screw the info. I'm going to play what I want. I'm not sure what y'all's thoughts are on that.
I think I'm playing my advantage, because it's like everyone has that info. So who is it helping at that point? Yep. I'd rather help myself as a player. I think I'd play the advantages. But then that would piss people off, but it's like they're not voting you out.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have to weigh like how valuable is it to know that there's a tie versus playing like a +1.
Right.
And I have to say the +1 I think is stronger to me. So but Cooper had like a little interesting take on it. And I love it when people kind of like downplay themselves. He was saying like maybe this will like take out some stronger players because they'll have less information. I was like, oh, okay. That's an interesting take.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Steph had a confessional about it when she was taking her future quiz. I think Liz kind of shared this mentality. The players who are kind of either newer to the format, like Liz and Ben and Cooper, or the people who have played before but don't necessarily see themselves as a strong player like a Steph, value these twists as a way to level the playing field for themselves, to try and knock down the players with more experience, like a Julia, like a Jabbar. So it was really cool to get the insight from someone who's very new to the format like Cooper, be like, hey, like this helps me. Like if I can have these veteran players not have as much trust in their info and have them doubt themselves, perfect. That gives me a chance to kind of swoop in here and maybe take the lead, because he's never played a mole game and he has not really even watched the mole period. So
maybe it's not him then.
And I said it just to throw you off when it is. But no, I love that insight, because a lot of the newer players were thinking it as well. They really appreciated the leveling. I mean, they hated the twist because it threw a lot of wrenches into the gameplay, but they were like, at least it evens it out for everyone. It's shitty for everyone, so I guess that's a good thing. That brings us to the end of the episode. So now this is your time to say your mole pick and your winner pick. This is your time to cement your legacy and say, this is what's happening.
This is so hard because I already changed my mind like so many times throughout this episode.
I know. I have two main mole picks, but like I've gone back and forth this episode. But I can say with confidence I know who the winner is.
Oh, okay.
I am putting my money on Liz. I think she's got what it takes. Ian was a close second. I just think somehow hubris is going to get him. I don't know. I think he's going to go fly too close to the sun at some point. But I think Liz has the skills, has the know-how, the social, emotional intelligence. I think she can go the distance.
I think Emily for me, just because in her pre-game confessional, she mentioned how she's like really good she's done a lot of LRGs. She's done really well at them. I think she can play a good social game, get information from people. I think she's very astute and observant. I think Emily could win in my books. Yeah.
Sarah, you're so right. And I lied to you before. I know other people. I know Emily. I know. Sorry. And she is someone that I think is easily underestimated.
Yes, 100%.
And she's very sharp. Good pick.
Yeah,
she's had some really, really smart one-liners in her confession, even her meet me. Like, she very much gets this game, and I think people look at Emily and think that she's kind of ditzy and maybe doesn't have it all together, but like she gets this game. She's probably one of the stronger players when it comes to mole knowledge. I mean, she's been the mole before as well, so if she's not the mole this time around, she kind of knows maybe what to look for. She can kind of be in the headspace of like, what would I have done when I was the mole, and like look for those things. So
exactly, yeah. In terms of the mole, though,
I'm sure you're spiraling now.
I wanted to say Cooper, but then he did mention so even though he doesn't know the mole, he's seen Subversion.
Yeah, he's
familiar with
Subversion. Season 1 and Season 2, but that's his only mole knowledge.
I think that's enough.
It is because
I love it.
A mole will downplay some of their abilities, I think.
Yeah.
And so the players could underestimate them because he's new to it. I don't know.
I think Cooper's still my number one pick.
There you go.
Okay.
Watch him be first out.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I'm between two people. I'm not going to say there's one that has, I think, just observing the episode, I'm like, okay, I think it's them. But if I'm going to put a producer hat on, and I think about the mole from season 1, the mole from season 2, and I'm trying to create like the canon of moles. I'm thinking about the history of Subversion that's going to be. I'm picking a mole for season 3. I am going to pick Ben. Ooh. I think we're going to have a mole that is out there, in your face. He's going to be the goofy mole or whatever, trying to be like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Okay, no big deal. But he's going to be laughing all the way to the bank.
That was my close second pick. It was either Cooper or Ben for me. Because, yeah, actually, Ben's like very opposite of like, especially me, I think. Because I was trying to be more like under the radar, like subtle, whereas Ben would be like complete opposite of that.
I agree. I don't know. I'm excited. You know what? I also hope that we're completely wrong. That someone's gonna just totally surprise us. I love being surprised.
Yeah,
too.
same.
It's early. I mean, you're only one mission in out of like 22 or 21 or however many we do. I don't remember. So I mean, it's still very early, and obviously, as people die off, it gets a little easier to figure out who it is once there's less people to talk about. So
yeah,
that's all we have. So this was super great, super insightful for those who watch, because you got two moles here who are giving you their opinions on what the mole may be doing here in the first episode. But episode 2 is Subversion Live Season 3 airs this Thursday, May 21st at 9 p.m. Eastern. And I'll be back a week from today on Tuesday at 9 p.m. with whoever's next to recap episode 2. Watch on our YouTube. Come to our Discord. Come chat with us. Come hang. But for that's all I have. So for me, for Matt, for Sarah, we're heading on off. Bye, everyone.
Yay,
and sorry to
bye.
Sloan and Jackie for losing. Love y'all, though.